And I think that one of the big problems in the world these days is that people don't talk to each other, not verbally. You know, they do it in Facebook, and there's so many different ways that you can communicate other than talking on the internet now.
My hometown, it's London, Ontario. My age is a number, and I don't use the number. What I believe in is it depends on how you are mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
I was born in a little village 7 miles east of Ridgetown in 1932. I'm 86 years of age.
I'm 72 years old. I grew up in Ireland near a place called Bandon, County Cork.
I'm 70 years old, and I was born in the post-war, Second World War, in Truro, Nova Scotia.
I'm 70 years old, and I was born in Kingston, which is a city in southern Ontario, but I spent most of my time growing up in Ottawa.
My age is 73 years. I'm born in the city of Quinshul in the Netherlands.
I'm 72 years of age, and my hometown, I was born in Chatham, Ontario, and lived in the Blenheim area for a majority of my life.
I'll be 76 next month, and I'm born and raised in Montreal.
Oh, I think there's so much more pressure on young people today. You know, everywhere you look, from marketing, huge marketing budgets, billions of dollars to get you to live a certain way, to buy a certain product, to be a certain thing. You know, and I was reading, there's an old book that I was reading, and the guy was a plastic surgeon and was talking about doing plastic surgery on people, and it didn't change their mind a bit. Cybernetics is the book. It's an old book by Maxwell Maltz. And he points out that, you know, it's in your head. And people today, well, I don't have this, I'm not that, I'm not tall enough, I'm too tall, or I'm too fat, or I'm too whatever. We're too tied to a youth cult. And everything has to be that person that we design that doesn't really exist, but that we all have to try and emulate. And I think that's one of the problems. And then, of course, where do they go? What kind of jobs do I get? What kind of world am I building? They're concerned about you know, the political system. All we do, unfortunately, and this is how we've, getting back to your point about when I was growing up, it's all fear-based control.
A lot of what I call manufactured stress. There's a lot of pressure, all the kids to have the latest pieces of equipment, latest iPhones and things like that, and it's unfortunate because and I want to refer back again to my childhood when we didn't have a TV. So we didn't have it. We didn't have it because we couldn't afford it. And it was accepted then, and it was accepted by other people that not everybody can afford to have these things. But with the commercials on TV, like, and I'm getting into the manufactured aspect of all this, I just sit there some nights and I just shake my head, wondering how parents can possibly raise their kids when, like, every hour there's all these commercials on television saying, oh, you know, you got to have this. If you don't have this, then, well, you're not really one of us, type of thing. They don't say that exactly, but they're inferring it. And that's not right. So it's manufactured, and there's not enough. I've always said commercials should be vetted before they're shown on TV.
Oh, the biggest life skill is being able to work with your hands. Know how to use your hands to do tasks that you would not think are possible. You know, picking up a hammer, knowing how to use a hammer. It looks simple, but it isn't simple. But yet, once you understand and know how to use it, that tool does a lot for you. And that can be applied to any other part of doing things where your hands are involved. Get to know what your hands are capable of doing. Your mind controls your hands, but after a while, your hands will know what to do, and your mind will not have to tell you how to do it. It's like a program that's put into a computer. It takes a bit to set up that program to debug it, but once it's running, it's mindless after that, and the way it goes. And you do the same thing with your hands.
Well, I don't think it hurts anyone to get up in the morning, children, and get their hands dirty, make your bed, put out the trash. And we had to do those things when I was young. Somehow it's lost today. They need to learn to treat other people as they would want to be treated, be truthful, recognize other people's skills or other people's accomplishments, and share your experiences, enjoy good conversation with other people. And one of the most important skills is to listen.
Stay open for persons around you. Don't be afraid to do some work, and also when you don't like the work, just do it. And other thing, well, I've seen, I was a troubleshooter on technical problems. But it was for me never a problem, it was always an opportunity. It means don't see it as a problem, see it as an opportunity.
I think the generation I had dealt with problems better than today. The big thing is they were not near the problems, not near the magnitude of problems, but with the problems that came up, they were dealt with. Today, people don't listen, they talk. That's one of the big things. The other thing too is when I was growing up and in the 50s and 60s before I got married, we had family lunch, family dinners. We conversed at the table. We shared thoughts. My father would be working, my mother would be home. Today, I would think, in many regards, I'm looking at my daughters and my grandchildren, they seldom sit down for a dinner. Maybe they don't even make it for Sunday night. Sunday night to us was big, communication time, fun time, less pressure by far.
Everything was done the hard way. Everything was, most stuff was, until the 1960s, most of it was done by hand. Then hydraulics took over. We did everything by tractors. That's how we solved it. We didn't use horsepower as in horses. We used horsepower as in tractors. We didn't use horses, we used horsepower. Just like everyone else. Yeah, I would think so, because life was hard. You had to solve your own problems. Today, let's say you had a blip in the food supply. People can't even cook their own food anymore. It's a skill that's lost. You know, that's too bad. Fast food didn't exist then. You made your own.
My father worked, and he wouldn't let my mother work, so we didn't have an awful lot of money. I think there were other people. There's always more people that have more money than you and less than you. I think it was okay. I mean, I don't remember feeling that I was hard done by or suffering because I didn't have stuff, because most of the kids I hung around with were pretty much the same eco status as I was. So I think now students coming out of university, it's much harder to get a job. I didn't think it was that hard. I got my job teaching very easily. I just went for an interview, got a job. Now I don't think it's as simple as that.
I was in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Real estate business.
We were dairy farmers.
I taught high school for 30 years, but then I supply taught for another 5.
Greenhouse automation control. I travel all over the world and I've seen a lot of situations.
I graduated from St. Clair College in 1969 as an electronics technologist.
I teach part-time at University of Guelph's Ridgetown campus.
I was in the banking industry, but on the trust side. I used to read indentures and legal documents, and then I would go to companies and we would have dialogue if they're going to put a bond issue out to the market, or if they're going to put a share issue out to the market, or if they had an annual meeting, I would go to the annual meeting and organize their annual meeting. So I worked with a lot of high-profile people in very key positions, major companies in Canada, even today. I was basically I was an assistant to them, an outside assistant, in other words. They counted on me to be able to be professional enough to help them carry out a feature of their overall responsibility.
Back then, with that type of background, that type of schooling, jobs were readily available. And I started working for the federal government in Ottawa. Worked there for 10 years in the Health Protection Branch, in the Food and Drug Administration, in the Electronics Division, looking after and maintaining all the scientific and test equipment. After 10 years in the government, I moved into private industry, and my capacity through that was again in electronics and electronics design and development. And then in the final years of my work, it was with machine building and design for testing of the products developed by Siemens.
We have an environmental program that allows students to take several streams. It's basically a multidisciplinary course. So they get a very, very broad background, and they can go everywhere from water, wastewater treatment, if they wish to go that way. They can get into waste management. That's an industry that's going to grow dramatically because the province of Ontario just passed a Resource Recovery Act, which is looking at zero waste within 50 years. To do that, we're going to have to re-educate people. We're going to have to retrain people. We're going to have to change how we think from top to bottom. And I think it's kind of an exciting time. It might be a frightening time for some, but I think the opportunities have never been greater, and I think the risks have never been greater.
If anyone is wanting to be in the technological field, get into that field. It just offers so many opportunities. It's there if you're willing to grab it. Just put one foot in front of the other as far as pursuing your path. If you have a goal, go for that goal. If you have questions, ask those questions. There is no dumb question. Just make sure who you are asking the question can give you an answer. If you cannot get an answer from that individual, seek someone else or seek their advice on who they might suggest you can get an answer from. There is an answer for every question. You do not have to accept no, and you do not have to always accept yes.
Well, I went into agriculture because I liked agriculture. I have no hesitation in recommending people to go into agriculture. Even farming. I also bought some farms in this country, and I'm glad I did that. It was a great investment. But yeah, I would definitely advise kids to go into farming, even if it was to learn some of the skills that you need to survive. You know, if you go downtown Toronto, where there's 4 or 5 or 6 million people, the people down there, they have no idea where their food comes from. And it's about the only thing you can have to do 3 times a day. You have to eat 3 times a day. So I would definitely advise people to know at least something about agriculture.